starting with the NFC South. So I've already picked 5 games for each of these teams just from going over the AFC because they've all played the AFC North and a game against the um, AFC West at this point. So the Buccaneers here starting 3-2, and I think that this well, actually starting first with the Bengals game. Originally, I had the Bengals winning this game, and in that video, I said that my prediction might change just based on how I feel when I get to the Bucks. And a lot of people, I've seen comments of people saying that I think they think I should switch to the Bucks. So I think it's fair for me to switch to the Bucks here, especially because I have some losses that is gonna take their record down a little bit. So, but I think they'll win that game and then easily beat the Browns at home. Before probably going through this stretch, with the Vikings, Packers, and Cowboys with 2 losses, I'm gonna say that they'll lose to the Cowboys and the Vikings, but get a win against the Packers at home. I was almost going to go with losing to both the Packers and Vikings and getting the Cowboys, but I just think I'd rather I'd rather pick them winning a home game than a away game in this situation where I have them losing 2 out of those 3 there. But then I think they pick it back up against the Steelers at home. That's not too tough of a contest, in my opinion. Before going over to Carolina, and I think they'll win this game against Carolina. I think the Bucks are a little bit of a better team, not by a super wide margin or anything, but I just think the Bucks will be a bit better than the Panthers there in Carolina. But I do think that they might split the season series with them. I don't know. I think they also might split the season series with maybe all of the teams in their division. But I think they'll beat the Falcons at home before losing to the Bears away in Week 9. That's just a little tough coming off of, I mean, not super, super hard matchups, but you do have 2 divisional opponents right before going away to Chicago, and that's just a little tough for me, especially because the Bears are a really good team. So I think that's fine to pick the Bucks to lose that game. But I think they also lose against the Lions away in Detroit. Oh, I misclicked there. Yeah, I think they lose to the Lions in that game. The Lions are a better team. It's in Detroit. That's how a lot of my thinking goes into it, is just if they're a better team and they're at that place, I'm not gonna overcomplicate it too much on trying to go super in depth since we're still in the preseason and this is a week 11 game. I think I did just say that they might split with every divisional opponent, but I am gonna go with the Bucks again in week 12 over the Panthers before losing to the Chargers and Ravens. I think they just got to find a win somewhere. I'd be shocked if they lose 5 in a row here, because I do have them losing a lot of tough games. But I think that even though the Panthers are definitely a hard opponent, the Bucks will be looking very desperately for a win there, because if not, they'll be 6-7 going into Week 15 with 3 divisional matchups left, and that's very scary. I think they do beat the Saints at home. I think they do lose to the Falcons in Atlanta. I think they'll lose to the Rams, and then I think they'll lose to the Saints, honestly. Going 8-9, it's definitely tough for the Bucks, but also the NFC South is always like this, where the good teams are still just going to be pretty mid, so I'm not too shocked by my predictions there for the Buccaneers. But now moving on to the New Orleans Saints. I would have already picked those games as well. So now 7 games picked for the Saints. And I think week 1, they'll start off with an L against Detroit. I think the Saints are going to be good. They were pretty good last year at some points, and I think they're going to just keep improving, but I don't think they're good enough for the Lions or the Ravens. especially away at both of those games. But I do think they'll beat the Raiders. I don't think that's a tough matchup for anybody this year. So I think the Saints will get the job done there over the Raiders before honestly winning the next. Actually, I'm gonna change my mind. I was gonna have them beating the Vikings, but I don't think they're gonna go on a 6 game winning streak. I would have them going on. I don't see that happening. So I am gonna have the Vikings win that game. Um, so the Saints would have beat the Falcons at home, lost to the Vikings at home, and then beat the Giants away. Going into their bye week, honestly, not an awful record. 4-3, pretty NFC South of them. And then coming out of the bye week against a very easy opponent, I think this could be a trap game. Honestly, getting ready for a divisional opponent at home. The week after, coming out of a bye week where you can look a little sluggish, I definitely could see this as a bit of a trap game for the Saints, but I think they will get the job done. The Browns are not going to be good this year. And I do think they'll actually win this Panthers game too before losing to the Bears away and the Bengals away in weeks 11 and 12. And yeah, I mean, their losing streak's going to continue as they lose to the Packers at home. It's just 3 teams in a row that I just think they're on a different level than the Saints. I think the Saints will be good this year. Not too amazing, but I think they'll be good. And just not that good though. So, but then I also have them losing to the Panthers, and it's a 5-game losing streak immediately after a 4-game winning streak, which is kind of funny, but also kind of not too crazy in my opinion, just with the opponents they have on their schedule. But I think they'll get the job done against the Cardinals and beat the Falcons away to go 9-8, so a better record than the Buccaneers. I mean, yeah, it's very middle of the road conference or division in my opinion of just who's gonna win what games. And so yeah, that's what I'm gonna go with there. Now for the Panthers, I have them at 3-6 already without even picking any more games, which is definitely tough for a team that I think could absolutely win this division. But I do think they're at a different level than some of these teams where I think they can still lose to the NFC South opponents, as I've picked them to get swept by the Bucs and split with the Saints. But I think they're at a different level than some of these teams where they can pull off an upset win more than the Saints and Bucs, which is why I'm going to have them beat the Bears in that week 1 game at home. I think that's a pretty reasonable pick, honestly. Just coming out on a new season, fresh start. They were a good team last year, and making an upset happen, making a statement. And I think they'll beat the Falcons too, which starting the season 3-0 would be great for them, as I have them beating the Browns. But I think some of these 2 away wins will take a little bit out of them, and especially against a great Lions team, they're going to lose at home. And I think this early bye week is really going to bite the Panthers. It's a week 5 bye week. That is just tough. You have so many games after that to try and get through, especially when really the tough part of their schedule hasn't even started yet, because they have to go to the Eagles immediately after their bye week. And I just think that's really tough. Before also losing to the Buccaneers. But I do think, again, like I said, with them beating the Bears, I think they can pull off more upset wins than the other teams in their division. So I have them beating the Packers in that game. Before, I guess I have them losing to the Broncos, which I think that's a very fair pick to have the AFC, or they were in the AFC Conference Championship game. So I think that's fair to have them lose that game, and then also lose to the Saints away, lose to the Ravens at home. I think the Ravens are going to be great this year. And then lose to the Bucs away. So definitely a tough losing streak there, going 0-4. And I think it's going to continue. I just don't think they're going to completely dominate the NFC North like that to be able to beat the Bears, the Packers, the Lions. Yeah, and I definitely think that's a little tough. I actually do not remember having them beat the Lions. I had them beating, or the Lions beating them. Uh, so yeah, I think they'll go 2-2 against the NFC North, though, setting them up for some tough matchups. Still, they're gonna beat the Saints at home, in my opinion, before losing the Bengals. The Bengals are gonna be great. I think they'll beat the Steelers. Steelers are gonna be bad. And then I think they're going to pull off a couple of wins at the end of the season to try and make something out of this end of the season. I think the NFC South in general just has a really tough schedule overall. They have definitely some easy games like the Browns. But it's going to be a tough season, and I think all of them are pretty well matched with each other to where that's a little hard for me to pick. Um so now going into the Falcons record, and yeah, it's not looking good so far for them. I definitely think the Falcons are a very talented team, and I think that is why I'm gonna have them win a couple of games that maybe they shouldn't, in my opinion, win. But I think they have enough talent to pull off some wins, like against the Packers and like against the 49ers a little bit down here. But before I get to those games, I think they'll lose to the Steelers week 1. I think the Steelers, even though they're not going to be great this year, they'll have a little bit of firepower, especially coming out week 1 at home. And Pittsburgh is a very, very rough environment. And then I think they'll lose to the Panthers week 2. Like I just said, they're beating the Packers week 3, but losing to the Saints in New Orleans and losing to the Ravens. I mean, yeah, the NFC South has a tough schedule. I think they'll also lose to the Bears, starting 4-10 now is what I have. I had them beating the 49ers, losing to the Bucks away, losing to the Bengals, losing to the Chiefs, losing to the Vikings. Honestly, I think they can pull off a win against the Lions, though. I think that's a place they can find a win. Even though they're not like the Lions are definitely the better team there, but like I said, some of the talent I think will show up in some games a little bit more to where they can pull off something. And then I definitely think they can beat the Browns. I'm wearing a Commanders jersey right now, but I think the Falcons can beat the Commanders in that game before beating the Bucks, but then losing to the Saints and Panthers to kind of crush their hopes of maybe pulling out that last playoff spot in the NFC South. So, yeah, I guess that's it for the NFC South. They're at 6-11, 8-9. Saints 9-8, topping the division, and then Bucks are also at 8-9. Yeah, it's. I think it's going to be a very similar conference to every other year that it is. It's the NFC South. They're all pretty mid, to be completely honest. So.